The hospital ship Nightingale moved through space like a white whale swimming through an ocean of stars. Its hull gleamed with the universal symbols of medicine: the Red Cross, the staff of Asclepius, and symbols from a dozen other species. Anyone who saw it would know this ship carried healers, not warriors. Dr. Catherine Morgan stood on the bridge next to Captain Daniel Porter. She watched the stars streak past the view screen as they traveled at maximum speed toward the distress signal. "How long until we reach the colony?" Kate asked. 3 hours, Captain Porter replied. His weathered face showed the concern they all felt. The earthquake hit them hard. "They're saying hundreds injured, maybe thousands," Kate nodded. She had been the chief medical officer on the Nightingale for 5 years. In that time, she had seen every kind of disaster. Plagues, accidents, wars, wherever people suffered, the Nightingale went. "Tell the medical teams to prepare," she said. "We'll need every operating room ready. And have Lieutenant Chen broadcast our approach on all frequencies. I want everyone to know we're coming to help." Lieutenant Amy Chen, young but skilled at her job, began transmitting. "This is the hospital ship Nightingale. We are responding to the medical emergency on Mining Colony 7. We are a civilian medical vessel. Repeat, we are here to provide humanitarian aid." In the medical bay, Dr. Marcus Wells checked supplies with the nurses. He was new to the ship, only 6 months aboard, but he had proven himself an excellent surgeon. The other doctors respected his quiet skill, though something in his dark eyes suggested he had seen more than his 35 years should allow. "We'll need more blood substitutes," Marcus said to the head nurse, "and double our surgical kits. Earthquake injuries mean crush wounds, broken bones, internal bleeding." The nurse nodded and hurried away. Marcus stood alone for a moment, looking at his hands. These hands that now saved lives had once designed things meant to end them. But that was another life, before he found his true calling in medicine. The Nightingale dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the colony system. The planet below looked peaceful from space, but the crew knew better. Somewhere down there, people were dying. "Multiple ships in orbit," Lieutenant Chen reported. "Mostly cargo vessels evacuating civilians. Wait, I'm picking up something else." Captain Porter leaned forward. "What is it?" 3 ships at the edge of the system. They're not broadcasting identification." Kate felt a chill run down her spine, but she pushed it aside. They had work to do. "Continue approach. We have injured people waiting." The Nightingale descended through the atmosphere. Below, they could see the devastation. Buildings had collapsed. Fires burned in the streets. People wandered through the rubble, searching for survivors. The ship landed in the colony's main square. Before the engines had even cooled, medical teams poured out. Kate led the way, her white coat billowing behind her. The scene was worse than she imagined. A school had collapsed with children inside. The local hospital was gone, crushed beneath tons of concrete. Aliens and humans alike lay injured in makeshift shelters. "Set up triage here," Kate ordered. "Critical cases to the ship. Marcus, take a team to the school. There might be survivors in the air pockets." For hours they worked. The medical teams moved like a well-oiled machine, saving who they could. Marcus pulled a young Altarian child from the rubble, her blue skin covered in dust but alive. An elderly human man wept as they set his broken leg. There was no difference between human and alien here, only patients who needed help. Kate was treating a pregnant woman when Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled over the communicator. "Captain, those unidentified ships are moving. They're heading our way." Porter's voice was calm but urgent. "How long?" 20 minutes at their current speed." Kate looked up from her patient. Around her, dozens of injured beings lay on stretchers. They couldn't leave now. These people would die without treatment. "Continue the evacuation," Porter ordered, "but prepare for possible departure." The ships appeared in the sky like dark clouds blocking the sun. They were Crexan warships, their black hulls bristling with weapons. The Crexan Empire had been testing human borders for months, looking for weakness. "This is Captain Porter of the hospital ship Nightingale," he broadcast. "We are engaged in humanitarian operations. This is a medical emergency," the lead Crexan ship responded. The voice was cold and mechanical through the translator. "Human vessel, you are in disputed space. Leave immediately. We have injured civilians aboard," Porter replied. "Human and alien. We'll leave as soon as they're stable." Kate worked faster, trying to get more critical patients to the ship. Marcus ran past carrying a child in each arm. The medical teams felt the pressure but didn't panic. They had trained for this. Then the first shot came. The plasma bolt struck the ground near the ship, sending dirt and debris flying. Screams erupted from the injured. "They're firing on us!" Chen shouted. All teams returned to the ship, Porter commanded. "Emergency departure." But it was too late. The Crexans had moved to block their escape. More shots rained down, deliberate and cruel. They weren't aiming to miss anymore. A bolt struck the makeshift hospital tent. The explosion threw Kate backward. When she struggled to her feet, she saw something that would haunt her forever. Where dozens of patients had lain waiting for treatment, there was only fire and ash. "No!" Marcus appeared beside her, his face twisted in horror. An elderly doctor named Dr. Patricia Holloway had been in that tent. She had taught Marcus when he first joined the ship. Now she was gone, along with the patients she died trying to protect. The Nightingale's engines roared to life. Kate and Marcus ran for the boarding ramp as more plasma bolts struck around them. A young nurse fell beside them. Marcus stopped to help her, but Kate saw the truth. The girl was dead, killed while carrying medical supplies. They made it aboard as the ramp closed. The ship lurched upward, shields flaring as Crexan weapons found their mark. In the medical bay, injured patients screamed as the ship shook. "Hull breach on deck 3. Someone shouted, 'We've lost engine 2. Kate stumbled to the bridge. On the view screen, she saw the colony below. The Crexans were still firing, not at the Nightingale now, but at the medical sites on the ground. They were deliberately targeting the red cross markers. "Get us out of here," Porter shouted. The Nightingale limped toward space. Behind them, the Crexan commander sent one final message. "Let this be a lesson. The weak have no place in this galaxy." As they jumped to hyperspace, Kate looked around the bridge. They had lost 43 crew members. Doctors, nurses, medics, people who had dedicated their lives to healing. On the planet below, hundreds of patients had died waiting for treatment that would never come. Marcus stood in the doorway of the bridge. The cheerful young surgeon was gone. In his place stood someone harder, someone who had remembered why he once walked away from his old life. "They targeted the medical tents," he said quietly. "They knew exactly what they were doing." Kate had no words. In 5 years aboard the Nightingale, she had never seen anything like this. The ship was clearly marked. They had broadcast their peaceful intentions. But the Crexans hadn't cared. As the damaged ship limped through hyperspace toward human space, one thought echoed through every survivor's mind. The Crexans had broken the most sacred rule of civilization. They had attacked those who came only to heal. The galaxy would remember this day, and perhaps in ways the Crexans could never imagine, there would be consequences for their cruelty. The Nightingale docked at Earth Station 1 looking like a wounded bird. Scorch marks covered its white hull. Emergency patches sealed holes where Crexan weapons had punched through. The red cross symbol on its side was half melted away. News crews waited at the docking bay. The attack on a hospital ship had spread through human space like wildfire. Everyone wanted to know how the government would respond. Kate helped carry stretchers off the ship. The injured crew members needed immediate treatment at the station's medical facility. She tried not to look at the reporters shouting questions. Her uniform was still stained with blood from the attack 3 days ago. Admiral Lisa Rodriguez met them at the airlock. Her face was grim as she surveyed the damage. "Dr. Morgan, Captain Porter, I need your full report immediately." In the briefing room, Kate and Porter told their story. Admiral Rodriguez listened in silence as they described the deliberate targeting of medical sites. When they finished, she stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth. "The Crexan Empire claims your ship was carrying weapons," she said. "They say you were using medical markings as cover for military operations." "That's a lie." Kate slammed her hand on the table. "We were saving lives, human and alien lives. They murdered our medical staff while they were treating injured children." "I know," Rodriguez said quietly. "But the Galactic Council wants proof. Ambassador Peterson is trying to arrange a formal hearing, but the other species..." She paused. "They see this as a human problem. We're too new to the galactic community, too weak to matter." In his quarters on the station, Marcus Wells sat alone. On his desk lay 2 things: a picture of Dr. Patricia Holloway and an old datapad he had not touched in 7 years. Patricia had found him when he was lost. After he left weapons research, she had given him purpose. "Hands that understand how to destroy," she had said, "can learn to heal with twice the skill." Now she was dead, killed while bandaging a child's wounds. Marcus picked up the data pad and entered his old encryption code. Files appeared that he had sworn never to open again. Theoretical weapons designs. Quantum probability manipulators. Ideas so dangerous he had run from them to save his soul. But now, he thought of the Crexan commander's words. The weak have no place in this galaxy. They thought humans were weak because they helped others. Because they healed instead of harmed. Marcus began to read his old notes. An idea formed in his mind, terrible and beautiful. What if weakness could become strength? What if mercy could be a weapon? The next morning, Earth's government held an emergency session. Ambassador Kyle Peterson presented the evidence of the attack to the council. Videos showed the Nightingale clearly marked broadcasting peace. They showed medical teams treating all species equally. They showed Crexan weapons deliberately targeting hospital tents. This was not combat, Peterson said. This was murder. We demand justice. The Crexan ambassador laughed. It was an ugly sound through the translator. Justice? You humans speak of justice? You are prey animals playing at being predators. Your ship entered our territory. We responded. If you cannot protect your healers, perhaps you should not send them out. Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Several human representatives stood up, but Peterson waved them down. We will take this to the Galactic Council. The civilized species will see. The civilized species, the Crexan interrupted, respect strength. You have none. Your fleet is small. Your weapons are primitive. You waste resources healing the weak instead of letting them die. We did the galaxy a favor by teaching you this lesson. That night, Marcus made a decision. He found an old colleague, Dr. Patricia Kim, working at the station's research lab. She looked up in surprise when he entered. Marcus, I heard about the attack. I'm so sorry about Patricia. I need your help, Marcus said. He showed her the data pad. I need to finish what we started 7 years ago. Kim's eyes widened as she read. Marcus, we stopped this research for a reason. The implications, they killed healers, Marcus said simply. They targeted medical personnel and laughed about it. The galaxy thinks kindness is weakness. I want to show them they're wrong. Kim was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. What do you need? They worked in secret at first. The theory was complex but elegant. Every action in the universe had a quantum signature, including intent. Hostile intent created specific probability waves. What if those waves could be disrupted? It's like an immune system, Marcus explained to Kim one late night. But for violence itself, the field reads intent. If you mean harm, your weapons simply stop working. All weapons? Kim asked. Everything. Guns, bombs, energy weapons, even a knife if you mean to hurt someone with it. But medical tools would still work. Defensive systems would function. You could still hunt for food or defend against natural dangers. The field only stops tools meant for harming other sentient beings. Kim ran the calculations again. The power requirements would be enormous. At first, Marcus agreed. But once we perfect the design, a ship-mounted generator could protect a small city. A network of them could shield entire planets. Word of their research reached Admiral Rodriguez. She arrived at their lab with an escort of security personnel. Marcus expected to be arrested. Instead, she looked at their work and smiled. The Crexans think we're weak, she said. Our fleet is 1/10 their size. In a conventional war, we'd lose in weeks. But this, she studied the equations. This could change everything. It's not a weapon, Marcus said quickly. It's the opposite of a weapon. I know, Rodriguez replied. That's what makes it perfect. The military gave them resources and a hidden facility on Luna. Commander Jake Martinez led security, ensuring complete secrecy. Professor Alan Green joined the team, bringing expertise in quantum field generation. As they worked, the diplomatic situation worsened. The Crexans grew bolder, raiding human colonies. They always claimed provocation, and the Galactic Council did nothing. Other species watched, waiting to see if humanity would fight or surrender. We could build traditional weapons, General Morrison argued at a strategy meeting. Show them we can fight. And prove them right? Rodriguez countered. They expect us to become like them. Brutal, cruel. What Dr. Wells is building offers another way. 3 months after the attack, they achieved first success. In a test chamber, Kim pointed a stun weapon at a target. When she pulled the trigger with intent to harm, nothing happened. The weapon simply would not function. But when she switched her intent to purely mechanical testing, the weapon fired normally. It works, she breathed. It actually works. Marcus felt no joy, only determination. Now we need to scale it up. The Galactic Council announced a formal hearing about the hospital ship incident. The Crexans would present their case and humanity would have a chance to respond. Most expected it to be a formality. The strong ruled the galaxy. The weak suffered. That was the way of things. But in hidden laboratories, human scientists built something new. They called it the Hippocratic Protocol, after the ancient oath to do no harm. It was a technology born from tragedy, designed not to destroy but to prevent destruction. Marcus stood in the lab late one night looking at their prototype. Patricia Holloway had believed healing was the highest calling. She died for that belief. Soon the galaxy would learn what happened when healers were pushed too far. They didn't become killers. They became something far more dangerous. They became the cure for killing itself. The Luna facility hummed with activity at all hours. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel worked in shifts that never stopped. What they built here would either save humanity or reveal their greatest secret to enemies who already considered them weak. Marcus Wells stood before a room full of Earth's best minds. On the screen behind him, equations filled every inch of space. These weren't just theories anymore. They were blueprints for revolution. The field generates a quantum interference pattern, Marcus explained. Think of it like noise-canceling headphones, but for violence. When the field detects hostile intent, it creates an exact opposite wave that cancels out the action. A physicist raised her hand. What about accidents? A surgeon's knife cuts flesh. A hunter's weapon kills animals. How does the field tell the difference? Intent, Dr. Patricia Kim answered from her seat. The quantum signature of intent is as unique as a fingerprint. A surgeon cutting to heal has a completely different signature than someone cutting to harm. The field reads these signatures at the quantum level. Professor Alan Green added his own observation. We've tested it thousands of times. The discrimination is perfect. You could swing a hammer at someone's head with intent to kill, and it would stop mid-swing. But use that same hammer to build a shelter and it works normally. Commander Jake Martinez had been skeptical at first. As a soldier, the idea of weapons that wouldn't work seemed like madness. But after seeing the tests, he had become one of the project's strongest supporters. What's the range? Martinez asked. Current prototype can cover a sphere roughly 1 kilometer in diameter, Marcus replied. But with proper power sources, we could extend that to cover entire cities. Maybe even planets. Admiral Rodriguez entered the room. Her face showed the strain of recent weeks. The Crexans had grown even bolder, attacking human cargo ships and claiming they were military vessels in disguise. How soon can we deploy? She asked without preamble. The technology works, Marcus said, but we need to install it carefully. If the Crexans learn what we're doing before we're ready, they'll attack with everything they have, Rodriguez finished. I know, that's why we're going to hide it in plain sight. The plan was audacious. Earth's fleet would undergo routine maintenance over the coming months. Ships would dock at stations for upgraded communication systems and improved shield generators. In reality, they would be fitted with Hippocratic Protocol generators. The work had to be perfect. A single leak could doom them all. Martinez ran security with an iron fist. Workers lived on site. Communications were monitored. Anyone who left the project was watched carefully. Marcus found himself thinking of Patricia Holloway often during those long nights. She would have loved this, turning the act of healing into the ultimate defense. He kept her picture on his desk, a reminder of why they fought. 3 weeks into the installation phase, they hit a problem. The field generators were too large for smaller ships. They needed a breakthrough in miniaturization. We could reduce the range, Kim suggested during a crisis meeting. Smaller field, smaller generator. No, Marcus said firmly. We do this right or not at all. Give me 2 days. He locked himself in the lab, surviving on coffee and determination. The answer came at 3 in the morning, a new configuration that folded the field back on itself, creating the same effect with half the equipment. When he emerged, haggard but triumphant, Kim hugged him. You did it. We all did it, Marcus corrected. Now let's get back to work. The Galactic Council hearing approached like a storm on the horizon. Ambassador Peterson prepared humanity's case with meticulous care. They had evidence, witnesses, and recordings, but everyone knew it wouldn't matter. The Council respected strength, not justice. The Crexans certainly thought so. Their ambassador, Thakur, made no secret of his contempt for humanity. They cry about their dead healers, he said in a broadcast interview. As if the galaxy cares about those too weak to defend themselves. Secretly, human ships began to change. The destroyer Resilience was first, its new generators hidden beneath standard hull plating. Then came the cruiser Independence, the frigate Unity, and dozens more. Each installation was tested in deep space, far from prying eyes. Marcus attended many of these tests personally. Watching weapons fail to fire never got old. Energy beams dissipated. Missiles refused to launch. Even ramming attempts failed as ships found their engines mysteriously cutting out when approaching with hostile intent. But the real test came unexpectedly. The human colony on Proxima 2 sent a desperate distress call. Crexon raiders had entered the system. Admiral Rodriguez faced a terrible choice. The colony had 50,000 civilians, but only one ship with the Hippocratic Protocol was close enough to respond. The light cruiser Liberty, commanded by Captain Maria Santos. "If the system fails," Rodriguez said. "It won't fail," Marcus interrupted. "Send the Liberty. Let them see what we've built." Captain Santos received her orders with grim determination. Her ship jumped to Proxima 2 to find 3 Crexon raiders already in orbit. The colony's defense satellites were scrap metal. Landing craft descended toward the surface. "This is Captain Santos of the Earth-ship Liberty," she broadcast. "Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The Crexon commander laughed. "One light cruiser against 3 raiders? Have humans lost their minds as well as their courage?" Santos activated the Hippocratic Protocol. The generator hummed to life, projecting its field outward like an invisible shield. Last warning. The Crexons opened fire. Nothing happened. Their weapons powered up, targeting solutions locked, triggers pulled, and nothing. No beams, no missiles, no destruction. Just silence. What trickery is this? The Crexon commander roared. Santos felt her own weapons systems confirm ready status. The protocol read her intent. To protect, not to harm. Her weapons would work fine. "No tricks," she said. "You came here to hurt innocent people. That intent is what traps you. Leave now and you can go in peace." The Crexons tried everything. Different weapons, different targets, even attempting to ram the Liberty. Each time their systems failed at the crucial moment. Their ships were perfectly functional until they tried to cause harm. After an hour of futile attempts, they fled. News of the incident spread quickly through human space, though the details remained classified. The colonists on Proxima 2 only knew that one ship had somehow driven off 3 attackers without firing a shot. In the Luna facility, the team celebrated quietly. The field had worked in real combat, but Marcus felt no joy. This was just the beginning. "We need to accelerate production," he told Rodriguez. "The Crexons will investigate what happened. When they can't find answers, they'll escalate." Rodriguez agreed. "The council hearing is in 3 weeks. We need the entire fleet upgraded by then." The work continued at a frantic pace. More ships arrived for maintenance. The technology improved with each installation. By the time the hearing date arrived, 70% of Earth's fleet carried Hippocratic Protocol generators. Marcus stood in the observation lounge of Earth Station 1, watching the fleet prepare for departure to the council chambers. Each ship looked the same as before. No special markings, no visible changes. But inside they carried humanity's answer to a galaxy that mistook kindness for weakness. Dr. Kim joined him at the window. "Nervous?" "No," Marcus said. "They wanted to see what happens when you attack healers. They're about to learn." The fleet began to move, heading for the neutral station where the Galactic Council would convene. With them went Earth's delegation, evidence of Crexon war crimes, and a secret that would rewrite the rules of warfare. The galaxy was about to discover that humans had not abandoned their nature as healers. They had simply expanded the definition of what could be healed, including the impulse to do harm itself. The Galactic Council station floated in neutral space like a massive metallic flower. Its petals were docking arms that could hold ships from 100 different species. Today those arms were fuller than usual. Word had spread that the humans would finally answer for entering Crexon space. Captain Daniel Porter stood on the bridge of the repaired Nightingale. The hospital ship had been given the honor of carrying Earth's delegation. It seemed fitting. The ship that had been attacked would now witness justice one way or another. "Crexon fleet on approach," Lieutenant Amy Chen reported. 40 ships, Admiral. They brought a war fleet to a legal hearing." Admiral Rodriguez nodded from the command chair. "They want to intimidate us. Make sure we look properly frightened." Porter almost smiled. If the Crexons knew what hid in the human ships' hulls, they would be the frightened ones. 70 Earth vessels had made the journey, each carrying a Hippocratic protocol generator. Together, they could create a field that would encompass the entire station. In the medical bay, Dr. Kate Morgan prepared her presentation. She had videos, medical records, and testimony from survivors. The attack on the Nightingale had been recorded from multiple angles. No one could deny what had happened. Marcus Wells stood beside her, reviewing the data one last time. He wore his doctor's uniform, not the scientist's coat he had grown accustomed to in recent months. Today he was here as a healer who had lost colleagues to senseless violence. "Are you ready?" Kate asked him. Marcus thought of Patricia Holloway, of the nurses who died carrying bandages, of the patients who burned in their hospital beds. "I've been ready since the day they fired on us." The human delegation entered the council chambers to find them already packed. Representatives from 50 species filled the circular tiers of seats. At the center, the council speaker, a tall insectoid named Zephnol, called for order. "We gather to hear the complaint of Earth against the Crexan Empire," Zephnol intoned. "The humans claim their hospital ship was attacked without provocation. The Crexans maintain the ship was engaged in military activity. Let us hear the evidence." Ambassador Kyle Peterson stood first. He was a small man, but his voice carried clearly through the chamber. "Honored representatives, we come seeking justice for an unprecedented act of barbarity. The Crexans didn't just attack a ship. They attacked the very concept of mercy." He nodded to Kate, who activated the holographic display. The chamber filled with images from that terrible day. The Nightingale, clearly marked with medical symbols. The devastated colony with injured beings of multiple species. Medical teams working frantically to save lives. Then came the attack. The chamber grew silent as they watched Crexan weapons target hospital tents. They saw nurses die while carrying stretchers. They watched a doctor shield patients with her own body dying in flames. 43 medical personnel killed, Kate said, her voice steady despite the pain of memory. Over 200 patients died when the Crexans destroyed our treatment areas. We were saving lives. They ended them. Crexan Admiral Thrax stood abruptly. He was massive even for his species, covered in battle scars. Lies and deception. That ship was gathering intelligence. Those medical personnel were spies. We defended our territory from invasion. We have the communication logs, Peterson replied calmly. Every transmission the Nightingale sent that day. All on open channels, all declaring our peaceful intent. Lieutenant Chen played the recordings. Her own voice filled the chamber, young and professional, repeatedly identifying the Nightingale as a medical vessel. The Crexan responses were damning. They had known exactly what they were shooting at. Irrelevant, Thrax growled. Humans are new to space. You don't understand how things work. The strong take what they want. The weak suffer what they must. Your healers were weak. They died. That is the natural order. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several species representatives nodded in agreement. The galaxy was a harsh place. Mercy was often seen as foolishness. Peterson turned to Speaker Zephnol. Is that the official position of this council? That attacking medical personnel is acceptable? That healing the injured makes one a legitimate target? Before Zephnol could answer, Thrax laughed. Look around you, human. We brought 40 warships. You brought 70 tiny vessels that you call a fleet. Even now, you posture about justice when you lack the strength to take it. Pathetic. Rodriguez stood slowly. She had remained quiet until now, letting the diplomats speak. But the moment had come. Admiral Thrax, she said, you speak much of strength. Tell me, what is strength? Is it the ability to destroy? Or is it the ability to prevent destruction? Philosophy? Thrax sneered. Is that your weapon, human words? No, Rodriguez said simply. Our weapon is the absence of weapons. She touched a control on her wrist. Throughout the human fleet, Hippocratic protocol generators hummed to life. The field expanded outward like an invisible tide, encompassing the station and every ship around it. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then a Crexan weapons officer on one of their ships tried to run a routine weapons check. Nothing. The systems were online, fully powered, but they simply would not function. What is this? Thrax demanded. He activated his personal communicator. All ships report status. The responses came back confused and alarmed. No Crexan ship could fire weapons. Not just at human targets, at anything. Their instruments showed all systems normal, but the weapons would not respond. You asked about strength, Rodriguez continued calmly. We humans believe the greatest strength is the ability to heal. You attacked our healers, so we became healers of a different sort. Marcus stepped forward. Every hostile action creates quantum signatures. Our technology reads those signatures. If you intend harm, your weapons won't function. It's that simple. Impossible. Thrax reached for his sidearm, pointing it at Marcus. He pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from warrior species tried their own weapons, finding them equally useless. Others backed away in fear, wondering what else the humans could do. "Please remain calm," Peterson said, his voice amplified above the noise. "You are in no danger. The field only prevents hostile actions. You can still defend yourselves from natural threats. You can still use tools for construction, for healing, for any peaceful purpose, but you cannot harm another sentient being within the field. This is an act of war," Thrax roared. "You have attacked our ships." Kate laughed. It was not a kind sound. "We've attacked nothing. Your ships are unharmed. Every system functions perfectly, except when you try to hurt others. If that feels like an attack to you, what does that say about your nature?" Speaker Zephnol restored order with difficulty. The insectoid's compound eyes studied the humans with new interest. "This technology, how far does it extend?" "Currently it covers this station and the surrounding space," Rodriguez answered. "But we can expand it. We can share it. Any species that signs a non-aggression pact with Earth will receive the technology to protect their own worlds." The implications hit the chamber like a physical force. Wars could become impossible. Raids, piracy, conquest, all the violent activities that some species built their cultures around would end. "You would destroy our way of life," Thrax accused. "No," Marcus said quietly. "We would heal it. Violence is not a way of life. It's a disease. We're offering the cure." A representative from the Altarian Confederation stood. They were a peaceful species, often victims of raids. "If we accept this technology, we would be safe from attack?" "Completely," Rodriguez confirmed. "Your world would be surrounded by a field that prevents any hostile action. Your people could walk without fear." More representatives stood asking questions. How large could the field be? Could it protect trade routes? What were the power requirements? Thrax watched his carefully built alliance crumble. The warrior species were outnumbered by those who had suffered under their aggression. The promise of safety was too powerful to resist. "This is coercion," he shouted. "You force us to accept your terms or remain vulnerable." "Like you forced our healers to die?" Kate asked. "Like you forced those colonists to burn in their hospital beds?" "Yes, Admiral, we're forcing a choice. Choose peace and prosper. Choose violence and find yourself unable to practice it." Captain Porter had remained silent through the hearing, but now he spoke. "You said the weak have no place in the galaxy. You were wrong. The weak, the sick, the injured, they all have a place. It's those who prey on them who don't belong." The vote, when it came, was overwhelming. The Galactic Council formally condemned the attack on the Nightingale. More importantly, 37 species immediately requested access to Hippocratic Protocol technology. As the session ended, Thrax confronted the human delegation. Without weapons, he was still dangerous, muscles coiled with rage. "This isn't over," he growled. "You think you've won, but you've only delayed the inevitable. The strong will always dominate the weak." Frishgarag Marcus looked at him with something almost like pity. "You still don't understand. We haven't made you weak. We've made your strength irrelevant. In a galaxy where violence is impossible, other qualities matter. Intelligence, creativity, compassion. Evolution doesn't favor the strong. It favors the adaptable. Adapt or become extinct. The choice is yours." The human fleet departed the station in formation. Behind them, the galaxy had changed forever. Some species celebrated. Others. 6 months after the Galactic Council hearing, the galaxy looked very different. From her office aboard the new station Harmony, Dr. Kate Morgan watched ships from a dozen species dock peacefully. No weapons powered up. No threats were made. The Hippocratic Protocol had spread faster than anyone imagined. The Altarians report complete success, her assistant informed her. Their entire home system is now protected. Pirate attacks have dropped to 0. Kate nodded, making notes on her pad. As director of the Hippocratic Distribution Program, she oversaw the technology's spread. Every day brought new requests from species tired of living in fear. The door chimed and Marcus Wells entered. He looked healthier than he had in months, the dark circles gone from his eyes. Teaching others to build and maintain the generators had given him new purpose. The Sealith want to join the program, he said. That's 41 species now. And the Crexans? Kate asked. Marcus's expression darkened. Still isolated. Their empire is fragmenting. Without the ability to conquer, they're turning on themselves. It was the tragedy no one had anticipated. The Crexan Empire, built entirely on military might, couldn't adapt to a galaxy where violence was becoming impossible. Their subject worlds had declared independence protected by Hippocratic fields. Their warrior culture had no answer to problems that couldn't be solved with weapons. Reports from the Crexan homeworld were grim. Political chaos, economic collapse, mass confusion. A society that had known only strength for millennia was learning that strength meant nothing when it couldn't be used. We should help them, Kate said. Not for the first time, they have to ask, Marcus replied. We can't force healing on those who refuse it. An alert flashed on Kate's screen. Speaking of the Crexans, we have a situation. Colony ship requesting emergency assistance. They're carrying Crexan refugees. 20 minutes later, Kate and Marcus stood in the station's medical bay as the refugees arrived. They were mostly civilians, families who had fled the chaos of their home world. Among them, Kate spotted several children, their scaled skin dull with malnutrition. Set up treatment stations, she ordered. Full medical workups for everyone. As her team worked, Kate noticed an elderly Crexan watching from the doorway. His scales bore the marks of many battles, but his weapons were gone. He looked lost. I am Korvax, he said when Kate approached. Former soldier, I brought these people here. You're welcome, Kate said. All who come in peace are welcome. Peace. Korvax repeated the word like it was foreign. We don't know what that means. For 1,000 generations we knew only war. Now, he gestured helplessly. Kate led him to a quiet corner. Change is hard. But your people are adaptable. You proved that by bringing these refugees to safety. Safety, another foreign word. Korvax looked at the human medical teams treating Crexan children with the same care they would show their own. We killed your healers, yet you heal ours. That's what healers do, Kate said simply. Over the following weeks, more Crexan refugees arrived. Not just civilians, but former soldiers who had realized their old ways were dead. The station became a mixing ground where former enemies worked side by side. Marcus started classes on the station, teaching the science behind the Hippocratic protocol. To his surprise, several Crexans attended. They struggled with the concepts at first. The idea of preventing harm rather than causing it was alien to their thinking. You must understand intent, Marcus explained to his mixed species class. The field reads what you mean to do. A surgeon's cut heals, a warrior's cut harms. The same action, different intent, different result. A young Crexan raised a clawed hand. But what if harm is necessary? What if someone attacks your family? The field allows defense, Marcus said. You can block, restrain, even render an attacker unconscious if necessary. You just can't cause permanent harm. This forces creative solutions. Old habits died hard. Marcus watched Crexans reach for weapons that no longer worked, then stop in confusion. But slowly they learned. Some became medics, finding honor in saving lives instead of taking them. Others turned to engineering, building instead of destroying. The breakthrough came when Admiral Thrax himself arrived at the station. The once mighty warrior was a shadow of his former self. His fleet gone, his empire crumbled, he came alone in a small shuttle. Kate met him at the airlock, flanked by security who didn't need weapons. The field ensured that. I request. Thrax stopped, the words physically painful. I request sanctuary. Granted, Kate said immediately. But you'll follow the same rules as everyone. No violence. No intimidation. You work, you contribute, you help others. Thrax's laugh was bitter. Help others. We spent so long taking that we've forgotten how to give. Then learn, Kate suggested. We did. The presence of their former admiral sparked change among the Crexan refugees. If Thrax could adapt, anyone could. He started by working in the station's cargo bay, using his strength for loading supplies instead of conquest. One day, Kate found him in the medical bay, watching the doctors work. My nephew was injured in the riots on our homeworld, Thrax said quietly. Your doctors saved him. Used the same hands that we once cut down without thought. He turned to her. How do you forgive that? We don't forget, Kate answered. But holding on to hate helps no one. We chose to be better than our pain. Captain Porter visited the station regularly, bringing supplies on the Nightingale. The hospital ship had become a symbol of the new order. The vessel attacked for showing mercy, now protected by humanity's gift to the galaxy. "It's working," he told Kate over dinner. "Piracy is down 90%. Border disputes are being solved with words instead of weapons. Species that haven't talked in centuries are opening dialogues." "And Earth?" Kate asked. Porter smiled. "Thriving. Turns out when you're the species that made war obsolete, everyone wants to be your friend. Our colonies are safe, our trade routes secure. The investments in science and medicine instead of weapons are paying off." But the real victory came a year after the council hearing. The Crexan Provisional Government, formed from moderates and reformers, officially requested Hippocratic protocol technology for their home world. Marcus personally oversaw the installation. As he stood on the Crexan Capitol watching their engineers learn the system, Korvax approached him. "This will be hard for us," the old soldier said. "Generations of warriors suddenly unable to wage war." "You'll find other ways to be strong," Marcus assured him. "Earth did. So can you." The ceremony activating the Crexan homeworld's Hippocratic field was broadcast across the galaxy. Former enemies stood together as the generators hummed to life. When a young Crexan tried to activate a weapon as a test, nothing happened. But when he picked up a medical scanner, it worked perfectly. Ambassador Peterson gave a speech about second chances and new beginnings. Admiral Rodriguez talked about strength through peace. But it was Thrax who gave the most powerful words. "We were wrong," he said simply. "We believed the weak deserved to suffer. We attacked healers and called it strength. Today we ask those healers to teach us, not how to hurt, but how to help. Not how to take, but how to give." Dr. Patricia Kim had established a university on Harmony Station. Students from all species came to study the science of peace. The Hippocratic protocol was just the beginning. New technologies emerged focused on construction, healing, and exploration. "We've started something amazing," she told Marcus during the university's opening ceremony. "Imagine what all these species can achieve when they're not wasting resources on weapons." Marcus thought of Patricia Holloway and smiled. She would have loved this, turning the worst day of our lives into the galaxy's brightest future. 5 years later, the last holdout species accepted the protocol. Wars had become impossible. The resources once spent on weapons now went to medicine, art, science, and exploration. Species that had been enemies for millennia worked together on projects that benefited all. Kate stood on the observation deck of the expanded Harmony Station, now a small city in space. Ships came and went peacefully. Former soldiers worked as builders. Former conquerors became teachers. Marcus joined her, as he often did these days. "Any regrets?" he asked. "None," Kate said. "They thought attacking healers would break us. Instead, it showed us our true strength." In the medical bay below, human and Crexan doctors worked side by side, training the next generation. On the docks, former warships now carried medicine and food to colonies in need. Throughout the galaxy, the Hippocratic protocol hummed quietly, preventing harm and enforcing peace. Humanity had given the galaxy a gift born from tragedy. They had not sought revenge for their murdered healers. They had not become the monsters that attacked them. Instead, they had done what humans did best. They had healed. And in healing the galaxy's capacity for violence, they had written their names in the stars not as conquerors, but as the species that ended conquest itself. The weak had inherited the galaxy. And it turned out they were never weak at all. 20 years had passed since the day Crexan weapons fired on the hospital ship Nightingale. The galaxy had changed so much that children born after that day couldn't imagine a universe where violence was possible between sentient beings. Dr. Marcus Wells, his hair now gray at the temples, stood before the memorial of healing on Earth. 43 pillars of white stone rose into the sky, one for each medical professional killed in the attack. But these weren't monuments to death. Each pillar was hollow, containing a garden where medicinal plants from across the galaxy grew. A young Crexan approached him, scales shining with the health of youth. She wore the white coat of a medical student, the Red Cross symbol proud on her chest. "Professor Wells?" she asked. "I'm Thissa. I'm writing my thesis on the protocol's development. Could I ask you some questions?" Marcus smiled. He received such requests often but never grew tired of them. "Of course. Walk with me." They strolled through the memorial gardens, past families of various species enjoying the peaceful afternoon. Children played together, human, Crexan, Altarian, and others, without any awareness that their grandparents had once tried to kill each other. "My grandmother says you saved the galaxy," Thesa said. "But in your writings you always credit Dr. Holloway. Why?" Marcus paused at Patricia Holloway's pillar. Inside, earth roses climbed alongside Crexan healing vines, their different biologies somehow thriving together. "Because she saved me first," he said. "I was a weapons designer who had lost his way. Patricia showed me that hands skilled in destruction could learn to heal. When she died, I could have sought revenge. Instead, I asked what she would do. And she would heal," Thysa said, understanding. "She would heal everything." Marcus agreed, even the impulse to harm itself. They continued walking, passing the museum section where the original Hippocratic Protocol generator was displayed. Tourists from 100 worlds took pictures, marveling at the device that had changed everything. "Is it true that some species still resent humanity for taking away their ability to wage war?" Thysa asked. "Some do," Marcus admitted. "Change is hard, especially when it's forced on you. But look around. What do you see?" Thysa observed the crowds. Peace, prosperity, different species working together. "Exactly. We didn't take away their strength. We redirected it. The same courage needed for war now goes into exploration. The same strategic minds that planned battles now solve agricultural crises. The galaxy didn't become weaker. It became focused. They reached the section of the memorial dedicated to the future. Here, holographic displays showed the projects made possible by peace. Dyson spheres under construction. Colonies in distant galaxies. Medical advances that had ended diseases once thought incurable. "My professors say the protocol isn't perfect," Thysa ventured. "That some find ways around it." "No system is perfect," Marcus agreed. "Some beings learn to harm without direct violence, economic manipulation, psychological pressure. But the protocol gave us something crucial: time. Time to talk instead of shoot. Time to think instead of react. Time to find better solutions." Captain Daniel Porter approached them using a walking stick but still standing straight. He had retired years ago but still visited the memorial weekly. "Marcus," he greeted warmly, then noticed Thysa. "A medical student, Crexan?" "Yes, sir," Thysa said, suddenly nervous. She knew who Porter was, the captain of the ship her people had attacked. "Good," Porter said simply. "Some of our best doctors are Crexan now. You have steady hands and sharp minds. Use them well." After Porter left, Thysa turned to Marcus. "He doesn't hate us." "None of you do. How?" "Hate is a poison," Marcus said. "It hurts the one carrying it more than anyone else. We had a choice. Let the poison spread or find an antidote. We chose healing." They arrived at the newest addition to the memorial, the Universal Medical Academy. Students from every known species studied here, learning not just medicine but the philosophy of healing that had reshaped the galaxy. Kate Morgan emerged from the building, older but still vital. She had founded the academy after stepping down from the distribution program. "Marcus, perfect timing. The new class is about to take their oath." They entered the auditorium where 300 students stood ready. Humans, Crexans, Altarians, and species that had been discovered only after peaceful exploration became possible. All wore white coats. All had chosen healing. Kate took the podium. 20 years ago, healers died because some believed mercy was weakness. Today, you take their place. Not as victims, but as victors. You will go into the galaxy armed with knowledge and compassion. Your tools will save lives. Your words will bring comfort. Your presence will mean hope. The students raised their right hands, tentacles, or appropriate appendages. Together, they spoke the oath that had replaced the ancient Hippocratic version. "I swear to use my knowledge for healing, never for harm. I will treat all sentient beings with equal care. I will respect life in all its forms. I will stand against violence with the weapons of compassion and wisdom. Where others destroy, I will rebuild. Where others wound, I will heal. Where others bring darkness, I will bring light. This I swear, in memory of those who died healing, and in hope of a galaxy forever at peace." As the ceremony ended, Thysa wiped tears from her eyes. "My grandmother was on one of the ships that attacked you. Now I take an oath to heal. The galaxy really has changed." "No," Marcus corrected gently. "We changed the galaxy. And that's the real lesson. One person, one choice, one act of mercy at a time. That's how you transform the universe. That evening, Marcus stood alone at Patricia Holloway's pillar. The setting sun cast long shadows through the garden, and the air smelled of flowers from 50 worlds. "We did it, Patricia," he said quietly. "We turned their weapon into our salvation. We made your death mean something." The wind rustled through the healing plants, and for a moment Marcus could almost hear her voice. "You didn't make my death mean something, Marcus. You made my life mean everything." As night fell over the memorial, lights activated in each pillar, 43 beacons shining into the darkness visible from orbit. Ship captains used them for navigation, calling them the Lights of Mercy. In her quarters at the academy, Thesa began writing her thesis. She started with a simple truth that had taken the galaxy 20 years to learn. They attacked a hospital ship. In response, humanity healed the universe's capacity for such attacks. This is not a story of revenge or even justice. It is a story of transformation. When faced with the worst of what sentient beings could do, humanity chose to become the best of what we could be, and in doing so, they made that choice possible for everyone. Across the galaxy, in schools and homes, on ships and stations, the story was told. How humanity's healers died, how humanity responded not with weapons but with wisdom, how the weak inherited the stars through the strength of their mercy. And in every telling, the lesson remained the same. True strength isn't the ability to destroy your enemies. It's the ability to transform them into friends. It's not the power to end lives. It's the power to save them. It's not conquest that writes history. It's healing. The galaxy had learned this lesson at the cost of 43 lives. But those lives had purchased something beyond price, a future where no healer would ever again die for the crime of showing mercy. In the end, they had attacked a human hospital ship, and in return, humanity had healed the stars.